Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to a Storyteller Spotlight. Haven't done one of these in a while, and I was thinking last night of different things that we could do on the YouTube channel to branch out a little from just individual like illustration artists. And I thought I'm doing so much comic related stuff for my Patreon. One of the things that I'm leading everyone into, and we're doing a series of videos right now on laying out pages, storytelling, and going through basically like the Wizard basic training series that they did. And with a lot of supplemental material that I'm providing, and then also we're going through head drawing right now, faces and heads. It's incredibly important. I mean, we'll get into the video in 1 second. Just let me like vamp for 1 sec. But you know, beyond being able to draw well, one of the core things that you will want to be able to draw exceptionally well would be heads. You can draw faces and heads in a lot of different ways. They don't have to be structurally so on point, but a majority of your acting in a comic book page will be through faces, so it's important to do. So I'm doing a series of videos on basically head construction, but then what I'm doing is I'm also creating supplemental material for that. And how I got to this video is I had done one of the supplementals was Greg Capullo, another was Jim Lee. Today I'm going to do Mark Silvestri. So originally I was going to do a Mark Silvestri Wolverine storyteller spotlight, but I felt like this would be a little different, and then we can always come back to Silvestri. So anyway, that was my point. But yeah, again, this is the last month that I'm doing the $1 all access on my Patreon. The tier amounts are going up, and if you haven't been to my Patreon, there's over 500 and I think 40 posts now, and probably 450 videos. There's a ton of material. I'm constantly putting stuff up. If you want to learn to draw better ink or just enjoy some of the other stuff that I do, you'll have a blast. So check it out. Link in description box. All right. So the first thing that I noticed with this Barry Windsor Smith's page was there was an interesting panel on the page that really catches my eye, which is this. It's probably one of the largest drawings on the page. And what's very interesting is he puts it dead center. It's square, and it confronts this. And you really stop on it. You go from here and you see this, and he's reading this file. But man, bam, you really pause here. Storm's coming, and it's like you feel it. Wolverine's like, he's deep in thought. And then there's this beautiful, beautiful, long, tall panel. If you look at it even from like this distance, you can really, like, it's just really nice. The repetitiveness of these two panels will make you look at them quicker, because your brain already has processed that this is glasses on like a file folder, and you move real quick here. This makes you stop. This pulls you down. This is really great. And then Wolverine's off to the races. So, all right, let's do this. Hope everyone's having a nice day. Oh, and I wanted to say up front, there are spoilers in this. So if you've never read Weapon X and you plan on doing it, then you probably won't want to watch the last part of the video. I'm not going to get into the story specifically, but visually you will see what's going on. So I mean, at this point, just watch the video. You can always read it. They actually say, I saw this as a study, that people tend to enjoy movies and games more when they actually know the story. It sounds weird, but that what happens is there's a different trigger or set of triggers that goes off in your mind when you're anticipating what's going to happen, and people tend to enjoy it more, as weird as that sounds. I don't know if it's factual. Who knows? They could have pulled 3 people. All right, so we've got Logan. He's in a bar now. Oh, is this right? Yeah, this is the next page. So I thought that was interesting. So he drives off, and then now it just we get to a completely different scene, really. So this is nice. I mean, what's cool about this is, okay, we can tell, one, that he's been here for a while because there's a lot of empties in front of him. You can tell it's a crowded bar without him, the guy having to draw, the guy, meaning Barry Windsor Smith, having to draw the bar. He literally drew a suggestion of 2 tables. You know, you can tell it's a rough bar, too. It's fascinating. I mean, in a script, it might be like, we cut to Wolverine in a bar. There's a secret agent with like smoky glasses staring over at him, looking suspicious and obvious that he's there. And we've got, tough bikers and stuff like that. He shows there's tough bikers by having denim pants and a boot. He shows that Wolverine has been here a long time by these empty bottles. And we see this guy very clearly. I mean, talk about efficient storytelling for a guy that really draws a lot of detail. Then this is nice. We cut back to it. It's pretty obvious that this is a different scene, and it just has a very different vibe than this. There's nothing really around him. It's not confusing. It's, him going over things. Now, this cut actually is a little more confusing, a little bit. I mean, you would almost, if I'm just visually looking at this and I hadn't read the story, I would maybe think that this is like a flashback to this guy. Glasses. He's looking at papers. This guy's sort of cutting up papers, but he's got a full head of hair here. So, I'm not saying that that's what it is, but the cues are kind of like that. Anyway, Wolverine sort of continues to drink, and then this guy's like, they're the ones who get found out. Dun, dun, dun. Trying to see if there's, sometimes I miss cues when I'm sort of doing these videos like this, so I apologize if maybe I missed something obvious. It does happen. We'll see. This is a nice little cut shot. I would assume, even though this dude is wearing a hat, that it's the guy that was in the bar, and then this looks very similar to the guy that was at the table. Although this character to me just visually looks smaller than the guy that we just saw. With the full head of hair and the glasses at the table. More of this. This is a nice beat too. It's interesting because this is a really nice panel, and it does make me pause again as he's pausing and sort of reflecting on what's going on. There's a lot of panels here. It's interesting. If you really look at this page, this is almost kind of wallpapering, meaning that like I'm not completely drawn to this shot as much as my eye is filtered down this way. It's kind of interesting that this is almost an invisible panel in a weird way, and it's actually a very, very unusual shaped panel. If you look, it's like a cross with a missing thing. I don't know if I've ever seen that done. I probably has been, but it's kind of cool. Meaning like a full cross. It would probably be center. I could see it like in Daredevil or something, like a panel like this, and you have the drawing in it, it'd be kind of cool. Alright, let's see what we got here. Lots of information. I'd be curious, when you read comic books like this, will you read all of this? I think I would. Pretty sure I would. Depends on how much reading is involved. I'm a picture guy. Oh, goodness. Wow, this is a great page. I haven't looked at this stuff in forever. What I did is I basically grabbed about 20 pages from the first sort of chunk of the story, and then about 20 pages from the back. It might be less pages than that, but something along those lines. This is a great panel. What do we got here? I'm just soaking it in. It's really, really fun to look at. And, again, he didn't really draw like a ton of stuff, but you can see that Wolverine is staying in a very, very cramped space. I mean, it's like the sink and the TV are just a few feet apart. That's pretty crazy. You've got this little, like, love seat kind of thing going on, and a little difficult for me to tell what this is. I don't know if this is like a pan or something. And then more empties. He's clearly really, and a handgun right here on the table. And look, like cigarettes. He's smoking, he's drinking. Occasionally drinking milk, apparently. You gotta have him. He maybe he does milk and whiskey. I don't know. What else do we got here? This is interesting. It's very, very disturbing looking. It almost looks like it's hairy. Like, is it someone's mouth? Is it the top of someone's head? Is it some weird creature? Again, we're just going on the visuals, not on other stuff. This is another interesting panel. So, let's get into this. So, Barry, at this point in his career, I'm trying to think. He had done Conan. Just storytelling stuff. I don't know if he done the Iron Man and X-Men issues. I'm gonna say yes. I think that this is further into it, because this is, again, it's a pretty interesting like layout, because I kind of go from here to here and then here, but here doesn't really send me anywhere. And then you kind of look at this stuff. It's, you know, learning and storytelling from these pages in terms of sort of like the classic Z. I mean, I guess you could argue that you do this, but yeah, you know what? I think if you were reading it, though, you would actually probably do this. Okay, that actually makes sense. Visually, I tend to go from here to... well, I don't know. This is really eye-catching. What's interesting, too, and I noticed it on the other page, is they're using this color a lot in these pause panels. If you go back and look at the other page where the bald guy was just in the panel alone, I'm nearly sure that was the color that they used there. And it is a really kind of quite... garish color, although the colors just in general on this are quite bright. This is all cool. The handgun again. We got like, looks like, I guess Wolverine broke the glass with his hand. Is it like, let me see. Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Based on just the drawings alone, you never, unless he grips this so tight that he pops it. But it's also, this is his left hand. Here's his thumb. And what is going off his fingers? That's the pointer finger, middle. And then these fingers is sort of like, this one in particular kind of comes from nowhere. It's interesting. Alrighty. No. Da-na-na-na-na. People that have read this are yelling at the screen right now. You jackass! This is what's going on. We're just looking at the pictures, friends. The pictures need to tell a story too. Let's see. This is very, very cool. This is interesting. Lots of back and forth with the storytelling. We're flashing back. We're flashing forward. It's interesting because this kind of reminds me of this guy. I'm assuming that it's not, but you know, that is a tendency with artists. I mean, the nose isn't exactly the same, but it almost looks like it could be him when he was younger. Like this is him in his like 40s, and then this is him in his early 60s or something. Again, I doubt it is. I know it isn't, but this is nice. This is good. Again, he's just spending time. Time is going. This is a little hard to read. I'm assuming this is a hand. This almost feels like a forehead and then hair. I wonder, is he upside down? Let's see this. Yeah, I mean, that feels like fingers, but then I don't know what this shape is right here. Okay. I knew this would be challenging. Because I think I've attempted this before or even done a little bit of it. This is unorthodox storytelling. It's still really good. It's iconic for multiple reasons. It's a cool story. It's Barry Windsor Smith. It's Wolverine. And it's different, you know. This is an unusual shot too. I mean, this is a real pause beat right here, just nowhere. And you freeze on it, you know. This is kind of pulling me this way because of this shape right here. But, you know, I mean, he's facing kind of up, and if anything, it almost kind of feels that way. You know, you would go read it from the eyes down in a weird way. But you know, Barry's just doing crazy stuff. And again, this really leads to this, to this, to this. Which normally you would think it would go like this. You would go from panel 2 to panel 3, meaning you would go here, 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 and here, and then back over here, and then here, 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 I guess down here, and then like this. But it's the unusual layouts. I mean, are you seeing what I'm talking about? Why this is like this would be like if you were learning storytelling and you were really into this, the only thing that would salvage your drawings would be how well you draw, meaning that like you would have to have a high level of skill, because if you couldn't draw well and you did stuff like this, it would be a disaster piece. The editor would be like, what in the world are you doing? But Barry draws so damn good, it's like you don't give a shit. Even these panels, he's facing this way. It's very, very weird. He's doing it intentionally though, because he's got Wolverine facing to the left a lot in the story. He flips him here. What's funny is we talked about this in a video yesterday on Patreon, but not this exact thing, but the 180-degree rule with like storytelling and stuff like that. And I was saying that for me, it's always been more instinctual and just you try to not do things that are confusing. But, you know, again, normally in American comics, we're trying to move people left to right and kind of like use Z across the page. But these are, I mean, in a weird way, you kind of can do this too, where you go from here to here and then across here to here. But yeah, it's pretty wild. But these are nice shapes that actually do pull you around this way. And then this you can enjoy as sort of its own little moment. Very fascinating. Muy, muy interesante. All right, here we go. This is, God, that is such a great little drawing. Right, zoom in. Zoomy zoom. This is cool. Again, when he positions stuff this way, I mean, I really do feel that he wants you to stop, you know, the horror, and then you just have to soak in the horror. He's not going to let you move past it quickly. And then these all really, really nicely pull you this way. And then this starts to send you back this way. These are pointing down over here. This sends you up this way. You see, this is a little bit more, but there is the desire to want to kind of come this way, but we know we're going this way. But you can kind of soak it in with, again, the storm's coming. It wouldn't confuse you to do this and see this. You know, there's not a lot of words, so. But yeah, again, he really does a lot of panels with Wolverine facing this way, but he wants you to pause on it, because think about it, just as an example, if he's like this, you don't pause on this, he immediately spills you into the next panel. Does that make sense? That if you're reading this, it's like Wolverine just immediately shows you where to go, and you don't stop on this. But you will stop on this, because it's like your eyes, you're going in your Z pattern, but it's like freeze frame, moment, and then again with the lightning and a long panel that pulls you down. It's pretty cool. There are no rules to this. This was one of the things that I stressed in the video yesterday that I did, because I didn't agree with the way that the artist eventually did their page. It was just one page. It was an example in the Wizard basic training, but I didn't think that ultimately the final page worked. But you know, 200 artists with the same script would all draw it somewhat differently, and that's your style, you know, unless it's just completely unreadable. You can try different things and be as creative as you want, which is fun. Pause beat. He looks like Abraham Lincoln there. It's funny. So for me, if I'm reading this, I mean, this is a very, like, I want to go that way, but I know that I would read it like that. The word balloon helps. It's kind of outside the panel, pulls you over here. But interestingly, again, he takes us to the 5th panel, really. This is so wild. Barry, you insane genius, you. But honestly, you go from Abraham Lincoln Wolverine to this shot. Wolvie likes to wear his jeans but no shirt. We've seen this year after year. But I really do kind of do this, and then this pulls you to this, which is trippy. It's a very, very interesting, like, these long panels that pull you around. It's fascinating, you know. In theory, we would go 1, 2, 3, this, this, and then this. And this is interesting too because he's pulling us this way. And trust me, Barry can control how he draws. If he wanted to have you leaning more this way, he could easily do it. Again, this may not be flawless. We'll try this. I'll try to work. You know, I mean, this is sending you kind of more up and out of the page, but we're looking out back through the window. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get this back. Come on, do it. There. You know, it's this shot. Oh, it's pretty cool. What else is he going to throw our way? This is crazy. It is, actually. And the art's great. You know, like again, this is one of those things where I'm sucked into the story of how he draws. I'm not looking at the techniques right now. If I want to revisit this and sort of analyze actually how he draws it, then that's a whole different experience. The experience right now is just the storytelling, the pacing, the positioning of things, and just all the sort of magic that comes with that. So let's see what we got here. Let's sort of soak in the whole page. This is a beautiful, beautiful first panel. Love this. It reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 5. The beginning of it, when you have to fight in the snow and you get to the farm. This is cool. So, this is nice. He's got like a really cool shape that pulls you here. Guns, weapons, what are they? The pointers. You can always use them to point to the direction that you want to send people. This is nice too. I do get a nice feeling of this right here. It's this shape right here is really, really strong, and even though this is pulling us this way, the lean of this guy and even the word balloon sort of help pull me down this way. And then do you see all the chords are all kind of doing this, and then he starts to send you up and out with all this. So because that's kind of the goal, I always say, is usually your last panel you're either sending people up and out so that they're going to read the next page, and then some artists will send you out but down. It just depends. I would say that although this story has so many trippy things that it almost falls into its own category. I would say like 80 to 85% of the artists we've looked at their final panel will send you up and out this way, and there's been just a small handful that have a tendency to always pull it down that way. So Barry, it's funny enough, we were talking about just how crazy he is. He does both. Which doesn't surprise me based on what we're looking at so far. It is actually, there's a little bit of a humor to that he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna send you up and down. This is really nice. This is very Jack Kirby, without looking at all like Jack Kirby, but Jack was great with like a few characters in a panel and really having fun shapes. I mean, that's Buscema, that's Kirby, just drawn in a different style, but really, really good. And this is great too. It is interesting too because I wasn't even focusing on that. It kind of goes to a fight scene, but Barry early in his career was a big Kirby fan, and you could see a lot of Kirby in his work. But I'm sure even when he started this, he immediately went back to his Kirby muscles and just does it in his Barry Windsor Smith way. But this is all really, really nice, and again, it's just great shapes. You know, he frames everything well. I mean, you know just right where to look, and it's just fun shapes. And this is cool. Again, really nice moment to pause and soak this in. We haven't seen one of these shots where it's like he shows like the room and the guys in the chamber more sorry, it's a little hard to see. Let me try to do it in black. You know, where like a character maybe is really far back in the scene, and you see the whole sci-fi lab, you know, kind of sprawled out in front of you, like kind of deal. Sorry, it's difficult to see, but these are nice. It's like he cuts back to this, and it's always like this other moment in time. They're generally pretty big. They're generally kind of, you know, you really have to look at it, and then we got more of the fight, and again you can see these really, really nice curved lines and stuff like that, all just trademark vintage Marvel. And then this is cool. I like how he pushed him down in the panel. It's like I would assume it's like symbolic of like sinking deeper into the process of the experiments that are going on. Is he damaged? Any deep cuts? Deep cuts deeper into the panel. Can't make this shit up, my friends. Imagine if I looked at every comic book with you. We plugged him up tight. Professor, Dr. Cornelius, we can begin now. And then we got more of the fight. And again, it's just these really, really lovely curved lines. This is great. I mean, it's a very fun shape. You got this, you've got this. He's locked in. This guy's head right here. And then this is just so funny. He just splays this out. Go, Barry, go. All right. This is cool. Yeah, I find it fascinating that he kept going with these things. It's a very interesting thing. I would love to talk to Bray Windsor Smith. I doubt it will ever happen, but he would really, really be an incredible artist to speak with and shop talk. You know, could you imagine? Barry, what were you thinking? I was thinking of that as a Chris Farley, when he would do those interviews on Saturday Night Live, the fake ones where he would be like, "Remember that time that you drew Wolverine like Weapon X?" Yeah, yes, I do, Chris. He's like, that was rad. That'd be me. Man, these are all so cool. So many curved lines with this. So think of that if you ever have to do a fight scene. Try to have everything framed. You know, it's heads and sweeping motions and heads. You see how exciting this is? I mean, the shapes. Really, really entertaining. You know, but he doesn't use. These are more mellow. Things aren't framed as much. I mean, he's using the pipes to sort of frame things, but he's also using it just to slowly kind of move you through. These are pulling you this way more. And even this arm sort of helps do it. And this takes you down to this panel. You don't have to have everything direct the eye, but you should at least have some stuff. It will definitely make it cool. Wow, this is great. So it's interesting, too, is he's starting to progress the shots. Things are changing, you know. Oh, it'll be interesting to see if he returns to those more dormant style shots, because things are starting to literally turn upside down. It's fascinating. This is cool. Yeah, everything's been turned upside down. You can tell something's up. Man, that's great. Really, really clever. Fucking A. This is what I'm talking about. Like, good drawings are great, but this shit is like next level. Recommend people for me. If you have a single comic that you think is just the bee's knees in terms of, you know, again, it can just be the storytelling. The drawings don't have to be, the drawings can be any style. That's the thing. When you read the story, that's the movie, you know. David Lynch doesn't direct a movie like Guillermo del Toro. Guillermo del Toro doesn't direct one like Scorsese. You know what I mean? Like, this is cool. You can see he's really getting active in here. Equalize. It's interesting because we've lost equalization. You know what I mean? We've already noticed that. They're trying to steady him, and it's not working. He's becoming more and more volatile. The shots are becoming more and more bizarre. It's nicely done. You know, if he would have started the whole sequence with more interesting poses, we wouldn't have the thing. You know, it was always a frozen moment in time, like almost like a cutaway of like someone in a coffin. And now it's not. It's just more and more extreme. This is nice. And again, I've talked about this before. You have to be careful with front views, but where a front view is great is if you want people to slow down for a second. And it is funny that it says steady. I don't actually remember who wrote this story, if Barry did, but it's interesting because he's using analogous dialogue to the drawings that he's doing, or vice versa. Whoever provided the script for him is Barry is very poetically executing it in his drawings. And again, they ask for equalization, but it will not be provided. Oh my god. And I just thought we were going to look at panel layouts. This thing has made my brain tired. I don't look at comic books and think this, though, to be honest. I'm probably one of the most oblivious people that you'll ever meet in terms of that. But I can turn it on if I need to for a video. But yeah, when I look at comic books, I'm not thinking about any of this, to be honest. I'd love to tell you that it's not the case, or that it is the case, but it's not. Not even close. I just look at the pretty pictures and soak it in. This is cool. Okay, not too much to say on that one. Da-na-na-na-na. I think it was Earl Grey's channel, or there was another channel where I would watch and they would talk about comic book storytelling. I was like, this guy is a genius. I don't think of any of this stuff. Except if I have to, you know what I mean? Like if there's a reason that I'm doing it. But I think that really kind of made me, realize the value of trying to do it maybe in a video sense. So props to Earl Grey. And there's one other channel that I can't think of the name of it. Panelology, maybe? Something like that. I haven't watched either channel in a little bit. I've been bad. I'm only watching guitar stuff lately. Just be honest. But I'm drawing a lot. Yesterday I actually worked all day on Blaster Kid, so you guys will be happy to know that I am working on it. It's not bullshit. This is cool. This is interesting. I mean, this is just an exciting page, just in general. This is really, really cool with him upside down. It's funny because this drawing reminds me a little bit. There was an artist that he didn't do a ton of comic book stuff. He's in the Art of the Matrix books. Chris Sprouse? No, not Chris Sprouse. God damn it, what is his name? I always forget his freaking name. God dang it. It's not Chris Sprouse. Chris Sprouse is a comic book penciler, but it's not who I'm thinking of. Shoot. What is his name? And this is what always happens. Then I have to look for it for like a freaking hour. Someone will know. I think his name is Chris something, but he did like 2 issues of like Wolverine in like the late 90s. He's really, really good, but he has like almost kind of pretty heavy duty style. Like his stuff is chunky. All right, so we've got him. Looks like we see a lot of vape pipes in these things. Somehow all the artists were time travelers and everybody had vape pipes. No, I'm just kidding. It looks a little like he's got it. I think it's a microphone. We're back to more of a dormant state again. It's interesting. It's settled down. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just reading a little bit of the text. Interesting. Okay. Didn't really have too much to say on that one. And with all this, I mean, there's definitely times where sometimes you just have to draw a nicely designed page and it's not going to scream storytelling. It's not going to scream like, the layout will be well done and it'll move you through the pages nicely and do all the things that we want. But, I mean, there's not a lot to discuss on it. This is nice. This is very contemplative. I like how he put the black around the face, kind of frames him. And again, it sort of slows us down a little bit. And this would be something kind of quicker. And then this again with the heavy shadows. I mean, it's just very dramatic and stuff like that. So it's like these are more, you kind of ponder it a little bit more. Okay. This is a nice drawing. Pipes and pipes and rendering and lots of fuzzy hair. I'm going to start moving through these pages because it's like... I can't see this. This is interesting because I'm assuming this is the claws ripping out of his hand, or just a super tight shot of it. But it does, in a weird way, almost look a little bit like we're almost seeing his insides too, meaning like that this could be like nerves fraying or splitting and something like that. Obviously, the doctor's kind of looking on, but yeah, I mean, it's almost, you get a feel of almost like a genetic level of effect on it. Oh man. This is probably one of the most superhero-y panels that he's done in the whole book, where it's like it could be from any. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but I'm just saying that like this would be something that you would see in an X-Men comic book that one of the Kubert brothers would draw, or Jim Lee, or Pepe Larraz, or anyone that's worked on the X-Men. Some shot in a cyber tech room with doctors behind the panel, the glass, watching some experiment either go horribly wrong or horribly right. This is cool. Man, Barry could draw. It's funny is you can actually see this is very influential to, do you see it or not? Chris Bachalo. This definitely had an impact on Bachalo. No doubt in my mind. I see a lot of this pose that Barry did in some of Chris's stuff. This hand, this whole thing, could tell. And I'm nearly sure that Chris was a big fan of Barry Windsor Smith. But yeah, this is very cool. Good thing it wasn't a Pornhub pop-up, right? No. It's like, your porn is ready, Rich. It's like, what? No, not in the video. He's jumping through the window. It's interesting, as detailed as Barry was through this whole story. This is actually a pretty tame shot. Like the glass, everything, it feels very quiet and kind of like, even though there's quite a bit of detail, it's not as nuts as some of the other stuff that he's done in this comic, all things considered. It's funny. But yeah, this is a pretty tame Wolverine bursting through the window shot, all things considered. Methinks. Oh man, that's awesome. This was when I opened the first batch of pages. This was the last one that I opened. God, that's a great figure. It's nice. We haven't really looked at a ton at the perspective in this, but I am doing a series of perspective videos also for Patreon. It's interesting because I'm kind of like, I've mentioned it in passing that I'm kind of trying to trick people into learning more than what they think they are. I kind of turn things into bite-sized chunks, but it's going to cover a lot of ground when they put it together, and I don't think that they realize exactly what I'm doing. And like, I've had quite a few private lessons where I'm showing people about perspective, but if you get really good at drawing figures where you can actually draw them, and I don't mean like just a figure standing there, but if you can draw figures in space, things like backgrounds will not be a problem for you at all. So you need awareness of perspective, and you need to have an awareness of how perspective affects figures, and then you'll be off to the races. Forget about it. People will be eating your dust. But no one wants to believe that. They think it's a different thing. It's not. Let's see. Let's look at the storytelling here. So we've got Wolverine naked. I like it. He's looking at a computer panel. There's like... Oh, that's really weird. What is going on here? Oh, okay. These shots make it a little tiny bit confusing because it almost looks like the hand like creeped over. He could have almost done it as a stat where this background could have actually been the same exact background, or unless it is moving, is it? Oh, okay, maybe the hand is moving. Oh, wait, hold on. He is butt naked too, so who is this already? No, it doesn't move because it's still on the glass. This piece of glass right here is this piece of glass right here. I thought it was crawling, but yeah, I mean, he could have, in a theory, just had the face do a different thing and then kept the panel the same. It would have... I like sometimes stat panels. It's like it's an effective way to one save yourself a little bit of time on a page, but like this won't work flawlessly, but watch, I'll kind of show you what I mean. It creates a speed where you'll soak in both panels at once. Oh wait, I thought I did see. Hold on. I just wanted to copy it. Copy there. If it was somehow like this, and then just Wolverine's face moved, what ends up happening is you soak this in really fast. It feels like it's like he's looking down, the person's talking on the computer, and then Wolverine sort of changes his face. But because this is repetitive information, your brain's able to sort of move through a little quicker. He clearly didn't want you to move through it quicker, but it's a nice little storytelling thing that you can use. And then this is cool. Kind of a pause beat. Again, the pause beats really do tend to use this magenta color. It's interesting, but it definitely is a color theme, and I can't remember who colored this. It could be Barry. Did Barry write, color, and draw this? I don't even know. Hold on. I think I can. No, it wouldn't work. I was going to say. Yeah, I don't remember who wrote it. I haven't read it in years. I have it all in folders. This is nice. Really, really just attractive drawings. Great anatomy. Looks very, very cool. This is all cool. Man, that's so nice. You know, and also hardcore Barry Windsor Smith fans will know this, but if you actually go back and look at early Barry Windsor Smith, he's another guy in a weird way, a little bit like McFarlane, although Barry went much further with his drawing skills maybe than Todd did potentially. Not in success, but Barry, I think, would be considered kind of more of a master illustrator. He had very humble beginnings. I mean, honestly, very, very humble. So if you don't think that you draw very well right now, just stick to it, because, you know, if you see Barry's earliest work, you would never ever think that he would have gone as far as he did with everything that he did in his career. So just, you have to stick to it, you know, keep learning things every day. Don't micromanage the learning, meaning it's like you could practice a lot for 2 weeks, and then during the third week, all of a sudden, just have a great day where you're drawing and you're like, oh shit, like all this stuff is settling in. That's kind of how it happens. And all of a sudden you're just good. And you're always going to be critical of your stuff because you're going to see it evolve. So you're not going to realize how much you've improved. So just keep at it, friends. All right. Again, some of these pages, there's not much to say in terms of storytelling. It's pretty cut and dry. I don't know. This is interesting. I think, you know, obviously reading it, I didn't have the time to read this before I shot this video. And in fact, after I do this, I need to do my Mark Silvestri analysis of how he, really what the video is going to be is how to not construct heads, but put things down solidly. I'm taking an opposite approach with Mark, where it's more of a run and gun thing. That's why if you ever look at his X-Men and Wolverine work, sometimes the faces drift. They can look a little melty, but in that, he was able, like, he had enough core structure that he was killing it. So he's a fascinating artist to look at because of the spontaneity in the work. So I wanted to kind of try to show people how to expedite that speed if you don't want to sit and construct heads, because it gets, you know, it can be tedious. So come at it from both sides of the pendulum. One is more foundational. The other is the exact opposite. It's like this fight scene. Just going to go for it and see how much energy and how much solidity you can top end, and then maybe bring in the structure later. So I've got plots and schemes, friends. This is great, man. Really beautiful anatomy on the animals. I mean, he really was having fun drawing muscles and really understood how to make them look just super sexy. I think Finch talks about this too in his videos. The I can't remember what he calls it, but the where they connect or something. I just know the visual cue, but it's kind of like where the muscles interlock, like having the nice sort of shapes, meaning like you know, something like this and this and this, and there's these really like tight areas, you know, it's like a lump going into a lump and then something that goes underneath it, and then this goes like this, but this attaches to bone and the bone is popping out here, like, you know, this kind of thing. Or right here is the elbow. Can you see the elbow there? Because it's there. And the muscles go over it and under. Well, this is over, but this is a little pocket of 3 muscles right here. So all that good stuff. You got to know it, friends. All right, what do we got? Oh my God, this page is insane. This would sell for so much money. People sometimes will ask, what's so much money? Like someone asked me recently about it because I said so-and-so could make a lot of money. It just depends. It depends on the artist. It depends on the value the collectors put on their stuff. And you can look around online and find auction numbers and see what different artists' work sells for, you know. And sometimes you don't even have to wait that long. Again, this is very Bacalo, meaning Bacalo probably pulled these out when he was working on the stuff that I'm thinking of. And it's interesting is I have friends that are influenced by the Bacalo stuff, so it's like when I see it, it's like I see them also, but I know that they probably didn't get it from Barry Windsor Smith and they got it from Bacalo. So the chain continues. This is crazy. It's interesting because this kind of harkens back to that weird stuff that we were seeing before in the beginning, that furry thing, the weird sort of teeth in it. All right, I'm getting kind of burned out. I'm ready to wrap this video up. My brain can only take so much. This is cool. His arm's a little small here. It's not bad, but I think it's like, this is always blasphemy when you do this, people. This is when I get the thumbs down. They're like, fuck you, Rich, don't fuck with Windsor Smith. This arm needs to be like right about here. It's a little tight on his body. I get where he's going with it, and this would connect a little differently, but it just feels a little gimpy. He had to draw a lot of stuff in his defense. It's one thing to just point it out. It's another to draw Weapon X and have one of the most iconic comic books ever. So I'm just saying that it looked a little weird. This is cool. Really nice panel. Love the amount of space, and I also like that there's no background in it, to be honest, and this is cool. This is an interesting transition. There's a lot of time that went on between these two panels. It's like she's at the computer, he's like this, and then he, I guess, runs over, but it's a little jumpy. And this feels very panicky. The fact that so much went on, even though these two are still kind of in the proximity, he almost looks like he moved back a little bit. But this dude, Cornelius or whatever his name is, he seems to have moved a lot, which created a sense of urgency, and also the auga makes me think of that. But it's funny is this still seems very, very calm. This not as much, but this seems very relaxed. I was just looking at the eye level on that bottom panel. What is going on? It's funny. It didn't seem like there was that many pages left. This is cool. Very pin-up-y. Again, this is interesting because this character, in a weird way, is looking sort of towards us. Like if this was an arrow. It's a little off, but you know what I mean? It's like he's looking kind of this way, which is interesting because it's not pulling us that way. So it's a little bit of a pause. Oh, it is the end. That's probably why. I felt there was more pages open, so I don't know if I opened pinups. I thought it was going to continue. It makes sense if it's ending that it's at that position. Is this like, oh, like a prologue or something? This is nice. Kind of Mobius feel with the colors, right? Doctor? Oh man, that's cool. Nice page. It's interesting because this is almost like a side view, because this tree, like, it feels like we're looking at it almost straight on, you know, like eye level is like right about here, and then Wolverine's sort of coming down this hill right here. But he switches the camera angle and pulls us above Wolverine then in this shot, which is interesting because then we're seeing the tops of these branches. But what's weird is these continue from this tree, so it's an interesting juxtaposition if you notice, because this doesn't feel so much like a top view, especially when you have him up here. But these are clearly continuing from this. Oh, unless... Oh, that's interesting. I guess... Yeah, this would have to be more of a top view. You would want the tree a little more like you're seeing the top of it, and the branches would be coming out from it. And then this full thing would work as one moment where it's like, this hasn't changed, this hasn't changed, this hasn't changed, but he's further down the hill. But this tree does either he needed to clearly establish that this was on its own thing, kind of like this is like a rocky thing that's in front of all this, and the hill is its own isolated shape. But it feels a little bit like this is on the hill, which throws it off a little for me. But that's just being hypercritical, or not even hypercritical, just like analyzing the shot itself. So take it for what it's worth. It doesn't make the page worse or better. Just saying. This is cool. He looks very Native American here. That's great. God damn. Fascinating too. I mean, again, he's got him facing a different way, so it's like you're really forced to just soak this in, and then this is really solid. It's funny because you can really see Jim Lee was influenced by this, like his Condition Red in particular really has like some of this rendering and stuff. This is great though, man. All right, we are getting to the end now, friends. Wow, look at this. I haven't seen this in ages. Poor old Logan. Well, that was really cool. That was fun. I feel like I enriched my day with I'm rich, and I enriched us. This is cool. This is kind of Barry Windsor, or Bernie Wrightson. There's a Frankenstein panel. It's got his hair is a little like that. I'm sure it's just a coincidence, but this is really cool. What a fun way to end the story too, is him climbing up the hill. And then we get this. That's really, really neat. Wow, that was wild. Really, really unorthodox storytelling, but it worked really well. But boy, talk about giving you a lot of options that aren't really traditional or kind of by the book, but yet kind of create their own book and still fall in line with a lot of the ideas. They're just very expanded. So that was great. That was really fun. So again, recommend other comic books for me that you'd like me to try to go through. It's challenging. It works my brain, I'm telling you. So all right, have a great day. I will be back tomorrow. Super fun Sunday. I'm eyeballing like 3 or 4 artists. It's going to be more of the insane illustration art, so I thought we would kind of run with that theme for a few more videos. It'll be fun, but I'm not sure who I'm going to pick yet. And who knows, knowing me, I might change it on a dime and do something else. All right, talk to you later. Bye.